Hey everyone, this is BF Warmer or BW Roses or BW 1979 as you know me, or BW Roses as I mentioned as you now know me on the TMNT forums. And I want to kind of talk about a character that not everybody knows about. I mean, if you read the Archie comics, like certain people have their version of the Ninja Turtles, you might know this character, and you might know who I'm talking about anyway. But this is a character that hasn't been mentioned in a long time, and has not just appeared in the Ninja Turtle comics by Archie, but has also appeared in Furrlough by Radio Comics, and that is the character of Ninjara the Fox. Her real name, however, is Umeko. Now, when she was introduced in the TMNT franchise, she was introduced in issue, I believe, 28, I believe, basically at the end of issue 27 into 28, 29. And the way she was introduced was, at that time in those issues, she was an assassin or hired assistant assassin of Chin Khan, a humanoid dog who she thought basically could have been, a friend, or maybe a good person to work for, or good mutant, or whatever you want to call to work for. Anyways, during her time with Chin Khan, she, along with Chin Khan's ghost soldiers, or whatever they were, or ghost ninjas, encounter the turtles and fight them. It's during this encounter that Raphael, but yes, that's true, Raphael, starts to develop an attraction to her, and vice versa, even though she is ordered by Chin Khan to destroy all enemies that might interfere. However, it is during this battle with Chin Khan, or not Chin Khan, but during the Turtles, that she discovers Chin Khan's real true intentions. That he not only plans to unleash the demon, which she has known about, a demon spirit, but also by using a nuclear pollution to do it in. Now Ninjara didn't like this at all, didn't like the fact that Chin Khan had hidden the secret from her, and thus ended up aligning herself with the Turtles in the end because of Chin Khan not telling her the whole truth. Basically lying to her, let's put it that way. And from issue 28, 29 to issue 70, Ninjara became a true instrumental piece of the Ninja Turtle franchise. Now you might be thinking to yourself, you might be asking if you're new to it and you're just finding out about her. You ask yourself, why did Brian mention, or why did B.W. Roses mention Raphael's attraction to her and her to him during the battle against each other, and then later on? Well, it's real simple. You see, as a certain person on here on YouTube, and I think his name is Instigator Gamer, or whatever his name is, or Instigator Gamer, I can't really pronounce his name, but I know it's Gamer, part of it's Gamer. He mentioned that Archie Comics probably did one of the best jobs any comic book company could do when adapting a franchise to their own storylines. What he failed to mention, however, was that to him, this comic book started to go downhill when the writers started to go in a different direction. Well, to me, they didn't go downhill. As a matter of fact, they started to improve a lot, because now you didn't have just four members of a team, along with Splinter and April and Casey, but you also had 5 members. Now, the reason some people like the gamer person might think it went downhill is because they started to integrate romance into the story arc. Basically the story arc. And most of the stories at times focused on Raphael and Ninjara. As a matter of fact, there was about an issue that was about 8 issues after she joined up with the Turtles, called Fox Hunt. Here her brother discovers where she lived. Well, basically, he didn't discover it. He just followed the instructions she sent to him. However, Ninjara has learned that she's not supposed to do that unless it's to a trusted person, which her brother was. And it's through the Fox Hunt story that we learn more about her species. And we learned in the Fox Hunt issue 37, I believe, that her real name is Umeko, and that she was named Ninjara for her betrayal or desertion away from her humanoid fox people, people many years ago, I guess. I mean, not much background except she's named Ninjara for her betrayal or turning on her people. Now, you might be asking yourself, you might be asking yourself, you might be asking yourself this question, Ninja. You might be asking, she's not a mutant. She's humanoid. What does that mean? Well, it means basically, as described when she first meets the turtles, she tells them she's part of a race of humanoid foxes, a very legendary race, ancient race that's hidden on an island outside the, I guess you could say, off the shores of Japan. Now, in a fox hunt, this island is discovered by a game hunter. Now, after that, she ends up joining the turtles in space, going on a mission with them, and then later on, she joins, and then later on, she comes back to New York with the turtles, and well, you get the whole idea. Basically, as I said, from 29 to 70 or 71, she was a very integral part of the team. Heck, when Archie Comix published the Ninja Turtles, just like they do with Sonic the Hedgehog, or did with Sonic the Hedgehog, they did annual 48-page specials, which means one special comic book dedicated mostly to the characters or to the stories they were talking about. Now, one issue that I have was dedicated to Raphael in Ninjara. And this kind of explained a little bit more, or went into more detail, of Ninjara's relationship with her brother and her relationship with Raphael. Now, as we go forward, we see her again still being part of the Ninja Turtles team, going on adventures to Jerusalem, the desert, into the future, where she meets the future Raph, and then later on. Now, here's the thing about her trip to the future with the Turtles. At the end of the story, at the end of this at the end of this whole adventures in the future, Raphael, the future Raphael, tells himself to be careful and gives him an ominous, or basically a prediction of what will happen if he doesn't kind of cool down and soothe his anger and kind of compromise with Ninjara on certain things. Now, he tells Ninjara this at the same time before they leave, and asks, in case this happens, to give them one more chance. Basically him and her in the present, to give him one more chance. However, everything the future Raph told both Raphael, his younger self, and Ninjara has come true. Now, here's the funny thing about the future Raphael. In the special 5-part series called Cyber Turtles, there is a character called Mezcal that looks exactly like Ninjara. Now, in my opinion, and I think in the opinions of many, this is Ninjara. But, just as she went from being Umeko to Ninjara because of the betrayal of her people, sorry about that bump on the microphone, I believe that if this is her, she changed her name to Mezcal for what has happened in the past between her and Raphael. I think it's a tradition that if you change your name, you leave your past. Your old name, is left behind with your past, and you use a new name to begin a new future, in a new life. And I think that's why she chose the name of Mezcal, and a new kind of outlook on life. Instead of using swords, she uses guns. And, well, you get the idea. Now, but like I said, besides all that, we enter into a new story called Moon Eyes. And it's in this story, I don't know how many issues it is, Moon Eyes, I think it's 4 or 5 issues, I'm not sure. But it's here we meet, this story basically, this multi-part story is the last time we see Raphael and Ninjara as a couple. Because they start having problems, and it's through this that Ninjara starts to realize that she needs to be with her own people, or people like her. And Raphael and her both agree that they had a good time as a great relationship, but because the personalities don't mesh as well as they used to, it's time to go their separate ways. Now it's after this. Now believe it or not, it's right after this Moon Eye saga ends, and right after they go into the Moon Eye saga ends, that they start going into the final issues. That to me, I believe, is what caused the comic book to die out. They didn't, put a story together or continue on where Raphael would meet Ninjara. Now I understand that a story that has been reprinted this year or last year and has been released. I don't know if it's out or not. That Ninjara is back with the Turtles, or at least back in some kind of capacity. Now, as I mentioned, after the Turtles comic, she appears in the Radio Comics Furrlough, and here she has a daughter, and here she mentions her past with the Ninja Turtles, basically the tagline saying she's not hanging with teenagers anymore. But we also find out that her husband, Mokasha, her new lover, is murdered by this game hunter or somebody. But anyway, that's who Ninjara is.